Welcome back to another video. So obviously we made that app and I know a lot of you don't have access to Android phones. So I'm going to show you a way to test your app on the PC without having to worry about having an Android phone at all. So um, I I originally said BlueStacks, but I've been using this Android emulator recently for my PC, and it's a lot better than BlueStacks. So I would personally recommend this one more. It's fantastic. It's great, etc., etc., etc. But um, we're gonna show the. I'm not going to show you the install process. It's pretty much just click, 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 click. Install. It's easy. If you've installed any other sort of if you've installed any other sort of program before, it should be simple. The one thing you will maybe need to do, you will need to know how to navigate your BIOS. For anyone that doesn't know what the BIOS is, when your PC initially boots, you normally see the logo of the company that makes your PC. So for mine, I have an Asus motherboard because obviously I'm on my gaming rig right now. So this is my self-built PC. So I see Asus when my PC boots because I have an Asus motherboard in my PC. And will tell you press F1 or press delete to access the setup menu. That is the BIOS. And the BIOS allows you to tweak with settings. Most of the settings generally you don't want to touch unless you really know what you're doing. Like, for example, messing with any of the CPU settings will possibly fry your CPU if you're not careful and you don't know what you're doing. So if you don't feel confident going through the BIOS, I wouldn't recommend doing this. You don't need to do this to use this. Just doing what I'm going to tell you to do will make it run quicker, a lot quicker. Because what this program essentially does is it emulates an Android phone, and processors have a feature on them, especially modern processors, that will allow emulation to run a lot quicker, or essentially virtualization, because we're essentially going to virtualize a Android phone. So most modern processors have a feature where you need to that will make the virtualization run a lot better, and it will allow the virtualization to access a lot more of the PC resources than it would be able to without the virtualization. Now, Memu for me worked without this on, but obviously it runs a lot quicker with it on. Um, so what you need to do, I believe it's just called virtualization on Intel processors. I believe it's called Hyper-V on an AMD processor, specifically if you have a Ryzen. So that's what it's called for me because I have a Ryzen processor in my desktop. But what you can do is just do a Google search, enable virtualization Intel, for example. There we go. And there's a link here that will tell you how to enable it. So for Intel, it's Intel VT, which is Intel Virtualization Technology, and it's AMD V for AMD, so AMD Virtualization. Like I said, you do need to go into. There is no way around it. You've got to go into the BIOS to enable this. It's a BIOS feature. If you have any sort of processor released in the last 5 years, you've got this, and a lot of processors will have it on by default. So you might not even have to do this. It could possibly work fine, but Menu will tell you if it's disabled. So you will know if you need to go in and enable this to make it run quicker. As I said, you do not need to do this to run Menu. For what we're doing, we do not need virtualization. But if you want it to run quicker and you intend to use this other than just for the testing purposes for this assignment, for example, I use this to play my mobile games on my desktop, so I can have it full screen and do other things while I'm grinding on certain mobile games. It's really handy for this. But if you want to do that kind of stuff, you will need to enable the virtualization settings, because games will not run without the virtualization on, or they will run absolute poop. Anyway, once you installed Memu, you should see something roughly like this. Obviously, I've installed a couple apps. As I said, I do use this to access games and play games on my desktop when I fancy playing games. And you've essentially got an Android store, and obviously it works exactly like an Android phone. Like here, I can access the settings, I can go in and change everything you would do on an Android phone. I can Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, apps, things like that. It's essentially just a Android phone on my PC. So obviously now we need to see about how we're testing, how we can use this to test our app. So in the last video, let me go back to my MIT. We've done this and then build as an APK, and I saved it onto my PC. It's right here, ready to go on my PC. So it just gives you the name of the app. Apparently sirens are going on outside my house, so great. So Memu will have a sidebar with a bunch of different options. So for example, this allows it to go full screen. This will allow you to key map. For example, if you're playing games on this, you can actually map a controller to this emulator, which is great. Multi-menu, there is actually a multi-volume controls, things like that, yada 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 yada. You can share folders with your PC and the emulator. Anyway, so what we want to do is this option, which is, once it stops hovering, install APK file from the PC. So you want to click here, and it will come up with a Windows Explorer window. So downloads generally default to your downloads folder. So mine is right there. We click open, and then you see installing, installed. Quiz app is now installed on the emulator. So now we can go in and test our app. Ta-da! App working on your PC without having an Android PC. Obviously this is made to look like a tablet, so our screen doesn't look too great. But we can just click start, and ta-da! First question is displaying. So this is what you should see on your first screen. Once you click that start button, this is what should appear next. As you see, my first question is displaying, and as you can see, I forgot to press the space button after start because I'm fantastic. So that's it. That's all you got to do. That's how you use Memu. I can't show you how to go through the virtualization. I can't capture the BIOS screen, so I would need to do a camera. I'm not doing that. So only do the BIOS change if you feel confident to change your BIOS settings. If you don't feel confident to change your BIOS settings, then don't worry about doing that. So that's it. That's your task for this week. Get to this screen. So if you need any support, you can email me at any time today, and I'll also be available all day Friday. I might not get to your email straight away today because I've got to send out your assignment 1 marking feedback, and I've got to do that one at a time. But Friday I should be available all day to support you with any issues you might have, and your task is to get to this screen on your app. Yeah? So if you ain't got an Android phone, try installing Memu and see if that will allow you. If you've got a weaker PC, this might not work. You do need a semi-decent PC to be able to run this. So fingers crossed. If not, send it to me. I can test it for you on here. And obviously I have my phone as well. I can run tests on that or my tablet. So I can do the testing for you if you ain't got the ability to test it all. But try Memu first, because this might be your solution. But anyway, I will see you next week, and obviously email me if you've got any support. So until then, see you later.